All right, so here we are live once again. It's almost 1 o'clock on November the 7th, and I've got another DC Multiverse figure for us to unbox. And this is the Atom from DC the Silver Age. And so it's a classic version of the Atom. Got a really nice piece of artwork on the back. This is Gary Frank, one of my favorite comic book artists working today. And it looks like the Atom is stuck between a rock and a hard place, or at least between a lizard and some kind of nasty looking insect. The Atom is really tiny. He can shrink down to like subatomic sizes, which is crazy to me. Like there was an Atom special that was done in the 1990s that I remember a lot, and I mainly remember the house ad. Steve Dillon did the house ad, and he was a guy who a great artist. We lost him far too soon. The thing he was best known for was Preacher, and he did the Punisher for Marvel Comics. But at his heart, he actually was like a really classic superhero guy, and didn't, I don't think, get enough of a chance to work on that sort of thing. But he did this Atom special in the early 90s before he did Preacher. And I remember this really cool house ad of the Atom kind of, flying towards the camera, and all of these actual molecules behind him that were like the size of planets. And I remember my friend Chuck Porterfield, we've been friends since high school. He was looking at that ad and being like, man, how dense must he be right now? Like all that compressed down to smaller than an actual molecule. So anyway, let's go ahead and open this up. We've been over this packaging type before, just the other day with Green Lantern. So I did the Silver Age Green Lantern on Monday, and then was it Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. And then Tuesday, I did the Green Lantern Corps with Tomar Ray and Abin Sur. So it's been a mostly Green Lantern week this week. But the Atom obviously is not a Green Lantern character, but he still has some connections to Green Lantern in that he was created by Gil Kane, and a very good costume designer, that Gil Kane. Actually, the head sculpt on this kind of reminds me a little bit of that Steve Dillon house ad, too. Also looks a lot like, I think it was Neil Adams and Murphy Anderson that did all the little heads that you would see on Justice League covers. So it looks a lot like that version of the Atom, which is appropriate enough. So the Golden Age Atom was a completely different character. He was a guy named Al Pratt, who was a fairly short guy and took a lot of ribbing for his height. So threw himself into bodybuilding, so that even though he was short, he was just like a wall of muscle. And he was actually based on a real-life circus strongman called the Mighty Atom, who also was a short dude, but fairly muscular. And the Atom originally, the Golden Age Atom, did not have any superhuman powers. He was just a really tough, scrappy guy who, was wearing like an outfit you would imagine like a wrestler or a circus strongman might wear. Hi, Aunt June. Good to see you. Aunt June stopped by again. I was almost thinking this one might be a little too late for you, but you managed to make it. So the Atom has a couple of extra hands. So we got this kind of gesturing hand. And we have a pointing hand. I wonder if these are some of the same hands that we got with Batman. Adam West Batman. Because I know he had a pointing hand and a gesturing hand. I've got all the extra Adam West hands in this bag. So I'm going to compare the hands and see if they're the same. I don't think so, because now that I'm looking at the Adam West hands, those do have a bit more wrinkles added to the gloves. I just noticed that the hand positions were kind of coincidentally similar to ones that came with Adam West. If I can get a hold of it, the pointing hand just kind of fell in. It's not even the right. It's not. Well, it's the left hand. Adam has the right hand, but I would like to compare anyway. So yeah, the Adam West hand is just slightly more narrow in that direction, and the finger is pointing up just a little bit more. Adam's is more like this. Batman's is more like that. So, but it was worth checking. I thought it would be fun if they had the same sculpt, but they don't. So anyway, and the Atom comes with one other accessory other than oh yeah, thank you. Atom comes with one other accessory other than the hands, and that is he comes with a little teeny tiny figurine of himself, and that is to represent the fact that he shrinks. Although I will say that I think they would have been better off making one that was like a little bit smaller than this. You know, like maybe still had this one, but had another one that was like just that much smaller. And then you could like line all the figures up together and it would look like he was shrinking, and that would be kind of cool. But this is about the size of one of those little page puncher figures that I don't have any of those, but I think that's about the same size. He does have, interestingly enough, he's got some peg holes there. So I'm guessing that this is in scale with page punchers. It is not articulated whatsoever. It's just a slug, just a little figurine, just a smaller version of the Atom himself. And of course, I've already cut all the rubber tabs and everything. So let's go ahead and get him out of the package. Now, towards the end of the Golden Age run, I guess they wanted to kind of spice up the character a little bit. So they gave Al Pratt some superpowers, which, basically was super strength. So I dropped the hands. They got knocked on the floor, and now I have no idea where they went. Well, one of them, I have no idea where it went, and that would be the pointing hand, which was the more interesting of the two hands to me, but whatever. We already looked at them, so it's okay. I'm sure I'll run across it later, and I'm going to be fine with the hands that are on this guy as they are. So he got super strength. He had like an atomic punch. I think the explanation for it was he was exposed to radiation while he was, by this time, teaching as a college professor. And Ray Palmer, when they introduced him, was also a college professor. So like I've mentioned before, whenever I've talked about the Silver Age, they would bring these characters back and they would reinvent them somewhat. And the Atom was no exception. So when they brought back the Flash, he was no longer Jay Garrick. He was now police scientist Barry Allen, had a whole new costume, whole new origin, all that kind of stuff. Instead of radio announcer Alan Scott, Green Lantern was now test pilot Hal Jordan. Again, brand new costume, brand new origin. The Green Lantern was no longer mystical in nature. It was indeed actually a like I was talking about yesterday. It was made by the Guardians of the Universe, and it was all tied in with more science fiction-y origins. Green Lanterns were like space cops, and Hal Jordan, test pilot, was gifted his ring by these aliens, basically. So Hawkman came in relatively unchanged, but even then, his origin was what was changed. Even though his costume remained the same, he still was Carter Hall. He still was a museum curator. But now, instead of being a reincarnated Egyptian prince, Hawkman was a policeman from another planet. They like to do that space policeman thing, didn't they? And his wife Shayera, same thing. The Atom, I think, was the most radical departure from his Golden Age counterpart, because, like I said, Hawkman remained pretty much the same, just had a new origin. Green Lantern and Flash, they might have different secret identities and different origins and different costumes, but they still at least had the same powers. The Flash could run at super speed and basically do anything at super speed, and Green Lantern could do anything he wanted to. His magic ring, create, construct. The only real difference with Green Lantern is that the Golden Age Green Lantern, as far as the powers go, Golden Age Green Lantern's weakness was wood. Go ahead and make your jokes. I'll wait. Oh, he's weak to wood. Okay, we get it. Okay. Hal Jordan's weakness was yellow. The ring could not affect anything that was yellow. But the Atom had a completely different power set because now the Atom's power was to be able to shrink. And I oftentimes wondered who when I was a kid, who would have come first? Because you don't really have access to a lot of this stuff. Who came first between the Atom and Ant-Man? Because their powers are pretty similar. And I believe when I looked it up last, it was a long time ago that I looked it up and figured this out. But correct me if I'm wrong. I believe how it worked was that technically Ant-Man appeared first because he appeared in Tales to Astonish, but he wasn't Ant-Man yet. He was just a scientist named Hank Pym who had shrunk himself and become the man in the anthill. It wasn't even a superhero story. It was a story about a scientist who accidentally shrunk himself and found himself in an anthill. And that was the kind of stuff that Marvel did generally before they did superheroes, was kind of like these weird little science fiction tales. And he would have been like an anthology character that would have been his one appearance, if not for the fact that, like, hey, superheroes are doing well. We got a guy who can shrink. Maybe we can make that his superpower. And Ant-Man proper, with the costume and everything, actually appeared a little bit after Ray Palmer as the Atom. He came in right in between. So I think it's one of those things where I don't think one of them was a ripoff of the other one. I think there was like not enough turnaround time for DC to go, hey, we should do our own shrinking guy right after that issue came out. And they probably wouldn't have noticed it anyway. Because like I said, it was just a weird little anthology story. And I doubt that Marvel would have had enough time to be like, dude, they made a shrinking guy superhero. We got a shrinking guy character. Why don't we make him into a superhero? I think it was just a coincidence. So that's my opinion on that. So Ray Palmer, he was a college professor who discovered that he could shrink himself with white dwarf matter. That's the belt on him. You know what? They probably talk about this on the trading card, and I haven't even looked at the trading card yet. So why don't we go ahead and get into that? So again, like with Green Lantern, these are the two trading cards, the trading card and the digital redemption thing here, which has a rubber tab through it for some reason. Oh no, we don't want to steal that. Whatever. So yeah, that's the digital redemption code thing there. I'll do that later, hopefully. I know I have the Green Arrow one there somewhere, and I think those go together. And I'll probably get the Superman that's in this set eventually. But we got the same piece of artwork from the back. It's cropped a little bit, just to more highlight the character. That's what the back looks like, and it says, Mcfarlane Toys Digital, the Atom, real name Ray Palmer. Ray Palmer is the science liaison to SHADE. He is a hero in his own right as the Atom. He is the creator of the Ant Farm, a pioneer in miniaturization technology, and a recent welcome addition to the Justice League of America. Yeah, recent as in he was like the second guy to join the team. Okay. So here's how the Justice League roster was in the early years. Basically, when they did the first Justice League story, they wanted to have every superhero that they were currently publishing in it. So they had Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and the Martian Manhunter. And they'd forgotten that they were still publishing Green Arrow. Oops. So as soon as they got a chance, the very first member to join the team was Green Arrow. And then not long after, they introduced Hawkman and they introduced the Atom. So the Atom had the honor of being the next member to join the Justice League, and Hawkman would follow shortly after. But here's the great thing about action figures of the Atom and Ant-Man and any other shrinking figure is that no matter what size your action figure is, it is 1/1 scale. So These are life-size action figures, folks. All right. So so yeah, they didn't really get too much into his history as I would have liked. The and got at least one thing wrong. But yeah. So and no, come at me. Well, that's like New 52 stuff. For one thing, I don't care about New 52 stuff. That is not anything that I'm into at all. Oh yeah, let's have a look at the figure stand. But also, this is not a New 52 figure. This is a Silver Age figure. It says Adam, the Silver Age, and the Silver Age Adam, like as a long-standing member of the Justice League. He didn't just join yesterday. All right, so here's the figure stand. I forgot to show off the figure stand with the Green Lantern figure on Monday, but that's what the figure stand looks like for that. I don't like these figure stands as well as the standard Multiverse figure stands that have a DC logo on there. It's got a Mcfarlane logo on there. And, like, I know they made the toy, but I want a DC logo on there, not a Mcfarlane. There shouldn't be a picture of Spawn on a DC character stand. That doesn't make any sense. I don't care if McFarlane made the toy. It's still, it's a DC character. But yeah, so where was I? So yeah, he was Ray Palmer was a professor at I think it was Ivy Town University. He was in Ivy Town. Obviously, a reference to like Ivy League schools. His fiancée at the time, later married, later ex-wife, was Jean Loring. And she went nuts later on, but we're not going to get into that right now. But he divorced. They had their divorce when he found out that she was cheating on him in the 1980s, and that led into the Sword of the Atom miniseries, in which Gil Kane returned and turned the Atom into basically like a high fantasy character. He became kind of an homage to John Carter at that point. So that was a pretty interesting run of comics. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this guy's articulation. Well, first we'll talk about the paint job. So I like the paint job. It's really good. Very simple, sharp, bright colors. This is a Silver Age Atom. He's a very Silver Age looking figure. I don't know why they did the belt this way. The belt is just painted onto the trunks. And it's not like they couldn't have very easily just, maybe even used a belt that they already had. I don't know. It's just kind of strange to me that they did that. But especially for a character who, like I said, he gets his powers from his belt. And there's like a little bit of a lip. You see where the red is, where the belt doesn't quite reach up to it. So it looks like he's got like a pair of trunks instead of like just red tights. So that's interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the. We can get a closer look at the head sculpt. You see what I'm talking about? It does look a lot like that Neil Adams, Murphy Anderson Atom head that I was talking about that you saw in a lot of comic book covers back in the 70s. All right, so the Atom can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. Tilts his head kind of quizzically from side to side. Rotate the head all the way around. There's not going to be a whole lot of surprises here because this is the same standard Mcfarlane buck they use on a lot of figures. And in fact, yes, it's the same one that just the other day I was talking about. What are the odds of that happening? I could have done that on purpose. The same one that we talked about already this week with Hal Jordan. Other than the head, this is pretty much the same exact sculpt. In fact, I think that's even the same hand over there that I happen to have on there. Then the hands are different, obviously, on the right hand side because of the power ring, obviously. But yeah, same figure. But we're going to talk about the articulation anyway. So he's got the butterfly joints at the shoulders. They move back about that far. Move forward about that far. It gives you just a little bit of extra movement there. And of course, the arm does rotate all the way around at the shoulder. The arms move up about that far. So pretty good range of motion at the shoulder. He does have a bicep swivel. It's a little gummy on mine, but it is rotating. So the bicep rotates all the way around. Double jointed elbows. That's about the range of articulation you get at the elbows. So pretty decent. Cool Mcfarlane ball jointed wrists. We can move these around pretty much in any direction that we want to. So that's good there. Great Mcfarlane torso articulation. We can move that around any which way we want to. The one at the lower abdomen seems kind of stiff, though. It's not wanting to move. But that's okay because it's still enough articulation just from like the upper joint that we can get that going. And Oh, there we go. I got it. Just a little gentle coaxing. Never force your joints. If it's not moving, always apply some heat to it, either with a hair dryer, which is my preferred method, or dip it in some warm water, and it should hopefully loosen it up a bit. But I'm guessing it's probably just some of the paint from the figure got kind of stuck on that joint, but we got it loose, so that's fine. The Atom can kick up about that far. It is somewhat hindered by this rubber trunk piece, but it does seem like this is a slightly softer plastic on that trunk piece than what we usually get, just ever so slightly, just enough so that it has a little more give to it. So he can kick Evil right in the face. He'd have to jump up and kick Evil right in the face. Even though the Atom could shrink, he still retained the strength that he had as a full-size man. He could still jump just as far as he could if he was a full-size man. Farther even, since he was much lighter, he can propel himself like up to punch somebody in the face. And did that a lot of the times. He could shrink small enough to travel through the particles of a telephone line, and could call somebody up on the phone and then just basically instantly appear in their house by traveling along the telephone line. I don't know if that works with cell phones or not. It probably does. I'm sure somebody's done a story where they explain, oh, well, now he's riding over, like, cell phone waves and goes to the tower and some kind of nonsense like that. It's comics, whatever, you accept it. The Atom has double jointed knees. That's about the range of articulation you get at the knees. He does not have a boot cut whatsoever, but he does have the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation. So it's rotate all the way where the ankle meets the shin and where the ankle meets the foot. So all that can rotate around. You can get that into pretty much whatever kind of position you want to. Toe points down about that far. Toe points up about that far. And he does have toe articulation just to show off. So this is a really cool figure. And if you're a fan of, Silver and Bronze Age comics, like I am, you definitely want to have the Atom for your Justice League. He's one of those classic characters, and he's going to look really cool standing with the rest of the team. And since we do have some Justice League members over here, we might as well get a look at some of them. We already saw next to Green Lantern, his brother by Gil Kane. So they look cool together. The Atom, of course, is friends with Batman, so we can see a picture of him with Batman. And this is the Jason Fabok Batman, so it's a little more modern. But if you want to see him with something a little more classic, here he is next to the Bronze Age Batman. And I don't have my classic Superman over here with me at the moment, but we can see him next to Mullet Superman. And that makes sense to me because, like I said, I have a lot of fond memories of that 90s Steve Dillon Atom series. And that's a 90s Superman, so that does kind of make sense. Last but not least, speaking of 90s characters, I don't have any kind of Silver Age Hawkman from Mcfarlane yet. I know they did a recolor of this in classic Hawkman colors, but it's still the 90s version of the character. But since Hawkman and Atom were best bros, we can get a shot of them together. When Alex Ross was doing his iconic Justice League paintings, he chose to, rather than give the Atom his own painting since he's so small, have him perched on a Hawkman's shoulder, and they were hanging out together because they're good pals. So there's a lot of interesting friendships that develop between various DC characters. Of course, you have the friendship between Superman and Batman, which has all kinds of complications over the years. You had the friendships between Green Lantern and the Flash, and Green Lantern and Green Arrow, and Hawkman and Atom are another one of those where Blue Beetle Booster Gold, another obvious one. But yeah, Atom and Hawkman, these guys have been friends for a long time, and I think that really started towards the end of both of their comic book series, where I guess sales weren't as great on those anymore, so they decided to combine them into one series called Atom and Hawkman, and that was they got kind of lumped together and became friends in that. So, but it's been a long-standing friendship that has existed ever since. So the Atom is a really cool figure. Like I said, he's definitely one you're going to want to pick up if if you're a fan of those classic Silver Age superheroes, he's definitely one that belongs in that pantheon. I'm sure some of you are like me, and you're thinking about the classic Bronze Age Justice League comics, the satellite era, as we call it, because they were headquartered out of a satellite, obviously. And he would be one of those. Like I said, he was the next guy to join the team after Green Arrow. So they would have been a team of 9 people after that. Hawkman would have come shortly after. You'd have God, let's see, Black Canary and Elongated Man, Red Tornado, Zatanna, uh, Firestorm. Am I missing anybody? Hawkwoman would have eventually joined the team at some point. But I always kind of forget Hawkwoman because I kind of figure if Hawkman was there, Hawkwoman probably should have already been there the whole time. She probably should have joined at the same time as Hawkman. Maybe they were just worried they were having too many characters running around. I don't know, but she should have been in there a lot sooner, I think. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the Atom. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Atom, both the character and the figure. So I don't know what I'm going to open up tomorrow. I still got a lot of DC Multiverse stuff to open. I mean, a lot. I've got like 2 more figures over here that I can open because I've got Fire, I've got Commander Steel, I've got more stuff over there because I've got Metallo and a few other figures. So and then I've got other stuff too because I got this finally from Amazon. I finally got around to picking up that Spin Master Batwing, so we'll have that to open up. And you can see I started putting some of these figures up here that I was going to keep these in the package. So got a Warner Brothers store exclusive Batman and the 2 vintage card Flash Gordon figures with Flash and Ming the Merciless, and then this Target exclusive Riddler that I have over here. So yeah, some interesting stuff I'm putting up there. Figure I'll spice that up a little bit. So it's coming together. Everything's coming together. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.